Welcome back to the Musgrave Hill Bowls Club on the Gold Coast of Australia for the second session of the second Trans-Tasman Test. Earlier today it was in the open competition, Australia winning 2 of the 4 matches with 1 going to New Zealand and 1 draw. We'll go through all the results of the opening session shortly, but just letting you know that we're going to be broadcasting women's pairs action in this second session. Taylor Bruce and Jo Edwards of New Zealand up against Chloe Stewart and Kelsey Cottrell of Australia is the matchup to look forward to. There's 1 apiece so far at this Trans-Tasman series. In the first test, Stewart and Cottrell won the first, but Bruce and Edwards taking the second. So, earlier today in the men's fours, which we broadcast to you, it was the New Zealand men's 4 winning 17-10. In the men's singles, Australia's Aaron Wilson beat Jamie Hill 21-12. In the women's singles, it was a 19-all draw. And in the women's fours, it was a 13-10 win to Australia. And we also have the development and over 60s disciplines as well. This Trans-Tasman, of course, and they've all been split. So in the women's development singles, 21-14 win to Australia. In the fours, though, is a 19-8 win to New Zealand. Men's development singles, 21-9 win to New Zealand, a 24-12 loss in the fours. And the women's over 60 singles 21-8 loss, but a 17-13 win in the fours. And in the men's over 60, a 21-11 singles defeat, but an 18-9 win in the fours. So overall, certainly a much better first session from New Zealand than they had in the first session of the first Trans-Tasman Test at Club Helensvale. I'm Brenton Vinisroy. I will have the call for you of this second session match. Alongside me is Kevin Hickland. Very good afternoon, Kevin.
Good afternoon, Brenton. And yeah, it was a pretty good morning, really, for this morning. We covered, of course, that New Zealand men's fours win over Australia. Very good game. New Zealand played the New Zealand side. Of course, a change in the New Zealand side with Ali Forsyth going to skip and Andrew Kelly coming in and playing 2. And it saw that change, and it worked well for the New Zealand side. And we also saw, I thought, although going down, the continuation of the fine form of Caitlin Inch skipping the New Zealand women's fours. The person I felt really unlucky for in that first round was that Jo Edwards up against Chloe Stewart, which was the draw that you spoke to. Jo Edwards, in fact, drawing with her last bowl, looked as though had the shot and picked up a gust of wind, and just the bowl just flew across the head, giving Chloe Stewart 2 shots, I think it was, in the draw. So this afternoon, though, big game with Chloe Stewart and the skip Kelsey Cottrell up against Taylor Bruce and Jo Edwards. And it's fair to say, Brenton, that the 2 skips, Jo Edwards and Kelsey Cottrell, 2 of the leading world players without any shadow of doubt. Both have won numerous titles, Commonwealth Games medals, World Championship medals. 2 real class players.
Yeah, there's no doubting that, as the players are just going through their final trial ends. As you can see, the wind is blowing here at Musgrave Hill, as it was throughout the first session as well. Windier conditions than we've probably had at any other stage throughout the 9th day of competition. Of course, we had 7 days of the multi-nations. Now the second day of the Trans-Tasman series. This is the second Trans-Tasman Test. And we will keep you up to date with the other action as well, as we have done throughout our Trans-Tasman coverage so far. So for the open competition, it's women's triples, men's pairs and men's triples. Alongside this women's pairs action, you just heard the hooter in the background. So we're ready to get underway. New Zealand has the jack, Taylor Bruce, who was so impressive in that multi-nations final against Australia. We'll place the jack and we'll have a medium length end for New Zealand. The mat, a majority of the way back, and a good 4 or 5 metres, 5 metres I'd say, inside the ditch. The jack has been placed.
So Taylor Bruce with the purple bowls, getting play underway on her favoured backhand side. Of course, they've changed the greens around at lunchtime, playing a different direction to what we played this morning. And we hope all our viewers back in New Zealand enjoy this broadcast that we'll bring to you. And, of course, the third round this afternoon and all the action tomorrow, of course, as well, from the Broad Beach Club. And we're hoping for a good round this round, afternoon round, second round, for our New Zealand sides.
Yeah, certainly are. And, after all the splits in the development and in the over 60s, very much the second test is all up for grabs at the moment. There's no one has got a big runaway on any of the opposition.
Certainly going to be this afternoon, Brendan. The conditions are certainly challenging as we watch this bowl of Taylor Bruce's break towards the jack. Going to get a touch on the jack. It does. Moves the jack back. Sits just in front of it. And alongside her other jack level bowl, Chloe Stewart, the Tweed Heads player, tall and singles player for Australia.
Yeah, had a great tussle with Jo Edwards. This time, rather than yesterday when she didn't get reward this time, able to get a 2 on the final end as that was timed out. Time limit was imposed on that, and also the women's fours, so it finished in a 19-all draw, no one managing to get to 21, and as you mentioned, Kevin, Jo was very unlucky not to draw the shot on that final end, but you've got to give credit to Chloe Stewart for sticking around.
Oh, absolutely. You don't, it's not just the one bowl or the last bowl that's the factor of the game. There's a lot more other bowls throughout which make the difference as well. It just happened to be that last bowl that just picked up that gust of wind. As we watch now, change of hand from Chloe Stewart. New Zealand holding the shot, and she won't be happy with this. It's going to break away under the head, and there's one bowl within a metre. And, look, I can tell you now this afternoon you are going to see some heads which may well be scattered, because the wind here at Musgrove Hill certainly lends itself to the speed of the green, and it is very challenging to get bowls sitting right on top of the jack.
Yeah, it's difficult. We'll see if we can find out exactly which way the wind is going. We've got a little wind pane over there in that corner there, and that seems to be going all around in different ways, so it's hard to say if that's a great indication, because I think maybe the rinks closest to the clubhouse here might be slightly sheltered from it, because where we are right now, we're not really getting much here.
No, we're not. We're quite sheltered here. As you see, Jo Edwards now draw a shot in behind the jack, and New Zealand laying 2 shots on this opening end. Kelsey Cottrell, of course, been a part of the Australian side since the age of 15. Has Cottrell, just bowl now breaking towards the head of Kelsey Cottrell. Has got the weight to get all the way. If it falls in, it'll make shot, and I think it has made shot.
Taylor Bruce will indicate here. Not sure if you picked that up, Kevin, but I think maybe just the shot for Kelsey Cottrell.
So on the backhand is Jo Edwards, playing down towards the head now. Looks to be on a pretty good line, and it's going to break away under the head. Just will pull up under the head. Weight would have been a wee bit light to the jack.
I thought I saw Chloe Stewart perhaps indicate that Australia were one down. Certainly our camera angle suggests that they're holding the shot, but obviously angles can be very deceiving.
So we watch this bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's now breaking its way in towards the head. And I have to stop, and it will. This will be the shot, no doubt about that, bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's. It'll certainly be shot.
Yeah, it certainly will. Jo Edwards is asking Taylor Bruce, was that the second? So now the Australians holding 2, or is that just the one? She can't call it, she says, Taylor Bruce, so 1 potentially in a measure for Australia.
So Taylor Bruce giving that little clap to Jo Edwards. The best option for Jo Edwards here, which she's doing. Play down on the forehand with weight up to the 2 yellow bowls. Breaking down towards the head now. She's going to get some sort of result. And New Zealand will have the shot here. Got the kill.
Yeah, and the black bowl of Jo Edwards that she's just played is not too far away from that 2 metre mark. Just if we can pan down at all, I'm not sure if we can, Alex, but there's a Jo Edwards bowl just below the jack here. There you go.
New Zealand, in fact, holding 4.
So, what a shot that was from Jo Edwards from 1, potentially 2 down. It's now hold 4, although you'd expect Kelsey Cottrell to be able to cut it to 1 at least.
You would.
Needs to come back. Needs to hold up.
It's coming back now, and I don't know what difference that's actually going to make, especially if it drops
or just stays in the green, I can tell you. So it didn't go into the ditch. So I think you can knock away 1 for sure. So let's get rid of that black bowl, and that's what Chloe Stewart does.
I think it's 2 to New Zealand. The purple bowl of Taylor Bruce's, to me, looks to be on that line, just looking across here to the head.
And they're looking out to do the measure to make sure. Certainly the angles can be a bit deceiving from, it looks like, just the 1.
Just the 1.
So the Taylor Bruce didn't even go the Taylor Bruce bowls, so they considered them to be too wide out there, the purple ones. So after 1 of 18 ends, women's pair of New Zealand, Jo Edwards, the skip, and Taylor Bruce her lead, leading Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart 1-0. And we've obviously got men's pairs action as well, and women's triples and men's triples, and we'll keep you up to date with all of those scores.
And of course, we've got a change in the New Zealand men's pairs, haven't we?
Yeah, Chris Lalive, who had been part of the triple, has gone into the pair, swapped places with Jamie Hill, and just to try and spark the men's pair, which hasn't exactly been going as well as they would have liked. Obviously, Gary Lawson's played a lot with Jamie Hill over the past 8 days, and selectors deciding to give him a new lead, see if he can get Gary Lawson going, and they also hope it won't hurt the triple too much, which has only lost the 1 game over these past 8 days.
So, first bolt, Taylor Bruce's, in fact, went into the ditch as we watch now. Chloe Stewart play down on her forehand. It's pretty much a full-length head as New Zealand lead after the 1 end. New Zealand leading 1-0. And this bowler, Chloe Stewart, to get some wind now to get a gust towards the head. This is a good opening bowl from Chloe Stewart on this, the second end. And so the viewers watching back home, that score we've got up on the top left-hand corner, that'll change in a moment, so that New Zealand are leading 1-0. Alex will change that in about a moment as we watch this second bowl of Taylor Bruce's just go past by about a metre and a bit. You can see Jo Edwards' short trousers there. You can see the wind buffeting and the shades up the back, the sunshades at the back of the green. You can see those being blown around. It's blustery.
Yeah, it's still nothing compared to what the players would play like in New Zealand, though. So it shouldn't be daunting for a lot of the New Zealand players. Obviously, Jo Edwards is based over here, and so is the likes of Caitlin Inch. But for the majority of New Zealand players, this is just a normal day, wind-wise. It's not anything more than that, is it?
Certainly not. Yes, you just forget about it, to be fair, Brendan. Find out where your line is, stick to your line, and then just see what happens from there as you watch this third bolt. Taylor Bruce just go by on the head. We'll go by a metre and a bit, a couple of metres in fact.
Yeah, unfortunately for Taylor Bruce, that was more the inconsistency we've seen from her in the women's fours. She was very good, of course, in that women's pairs final of the multi-nations. Very consistent with her 3 bowls, but there you can see just 2 right at the bottom of the shot, and the third one, her first bowl, went in the ditch. Not much better from her opposite, though, it must be said. Chloe Stewart, who's got 2 short, only 1 that you would say is an effective bowl.
Jo Edwards and Taylor Bruce just having a chat as they change over. Just don't worry about it, Taylor. Just Another end coming up. Just find the line. Leave it to me. I'll draw you the shot. And I'm sure we're going to see Joe Edwards, yes we are, change her hand. She won't play down on the Chloe Stewart line. She'll back herself to draw it on the backhand with New Zealand skip. Number 1 ranked women's player in the world. It's going to come under the line though, this bowl. You can see now as it breaks towards the centre line. And it's going to certainly drift right across. I'm sure we'll see Joe Edwards make the necessary adjustment. There's plenty of room, isn't there, Brendan?
Yeah, it certainly is. And I expect Kelsey Cottrell to find it as well with her first. The skip of this Australian women's pair. Hanging it out wide. Looking for it to come back towards the centre line. Coaxed on by Chloe Stewart. Whether it be the wind or slightly tough part of the green, that has not come back as much as what Kelsey Cottrell was expecting. So still a lot of room for Joe Edwards with her second.
So Joe Edwards just got to get her line to just inside that yellow bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's. And she certainly changed the line with this one, but it's not going to. It's going to pull up short again. The objective is to get that line out to where the yellow bowl is. Australia holding 3.
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable we're holding 3 with that selection, but they are. It's been a tough end for both teams so far.
This will be 4, providing it stays up, and it will. So that Joe Edwards line is just out to that yellow bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's, right down. You'll see it in front of Taylor Bruce. And her line is to get out towards that bowl.
Important early bowl for Joe Edwards.
Certainly got a better line here. Definitely sent this out wider. Now this will start to break now under the yellow bowl of Australia. There's a better bowl from Edwards. And will not be the shot, but may well. It's going to certainly cut. I think it'll cut some out.
Yeah, it might be enough for second. I think it might be enough for second.
May well, it's in a straight line to the jack.
Yeah, it's the thing that's got an advantage over all the other bowls. But, yeah, it's not exactly the greatest collection from either New Zealand or Australia. Maybe the conditions playing a part here. Of course, we didn't play in this direction. This is the north-south, south-north direction of the green rather than east-west, west-east. There's this one. Is it going to come off that wide bowl from Kelsey Cottrell?
They'll make a counter.
It does. Well, that one is seen as the counter, and that one. So now they've got to hold that, and that one too. So,
well, that one counts. That one counts. Absolutely, yes.
So 4. Now it's just whether that last bowl of Joe Edwards makes it just 4 rather than 5. Certainly from our angle, it looks like it's comfortably closer.
It certainly does. It's on the straight line, Brenton, doesn't it, to the jack? They certainly had the big windmills out, and it's not, I don't think.
5. Wow. So it just shows again how those camera angles can be deceiving. A big number for Australia. Scrappy end. It was really a scrappy end from both, but Australia not quite as scrappy as New Zealand were. So 5-1 they are leading now after 2 of the 18 ends in the women's pairs. This is the second session of the second Trans-Tasman Test from Musgrave Hill Bowls Club on the Gold Coast. Bringing you up to date, Kevin, with some of the other matchups. We have women's triples action, Australia leading 3-0 after 2 ends. We also have the men's triples. And by the looks of things, Australia leading 5-0 after 2 ends of the men's triples. And in the men's pairs, after a couple ends, it's 1 apiece between Australia and New Zealand. We also have 2 women's development matches on this green, as we did in the first session. And Australia leading 2-0 in 1 but New Zealand leading 1-0 in the other. And of course, those are pairs and triples matches as well. We'll keep you up to date with those two. Sorry, it is the over 60s, excuse me, Kevin. Thank you. Not the development, the over 60s women on this green that we are covering. And on the other action, we've got the over 60s men and also men's and women's development on the other green, which will keep you up to date. But later on, we'll send our man Alex Reid up to the other green in a few ends time, maybe after 5 ends or something like that, to check what the situation is on the other green.
The New Zealand over 60 players over there, Brendan, they would be complimentary towards you now, calling the development players.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, there's probably the odd one of them that may still come in that development.
Well, let's face it, Dean Elgar's not a 21-year-old, isn't he? He's playing
Debbie White's not.
Debbie White's not, and Arbo's playing in that development side. So, Taylor Bruce made amends from that last end and has drawn her first bowl right alongside the jack. Interesting, changing her hand straight away. Obviously, another good bowl here from Taylor Bruce. Just going to sit on the Chloe Stewart bowl. New Zealand holding the shot, and perhaps it's a kind of draw going up that way. Both Australia and New Zealand have elected to play on that hand. Certainly going down that last end, that was clothesline stuff. They were all over the place.
Yeah, it was nowhere anywhere near the jack, but Australia were just that bit closer with 5 bowls, so 5 of their 6 bowls were closer than New Zealand's.
So Edwards trying to get the Taylor Bruce bowl to slow down, ran into her own. That's fine, still have one and created a back bowl, and that's fine as Australia lead 5-1 after 2 as the skips change over.
Yeah, good effort this end from Taylor Bruce.
Well, certainly a good comeback after that last end where there was, let's say, nothing close in any shape or form.
Not even the great Joe Edwards could bail New Zealand out.
Most surprising that was.
Yeah, it certainly was. Just showing how difficult these conditions are.
Kelsey Cottrell on the forehand. Really accomplished international player. Of course, we're playing for Australia next week in the Australia versus the rest of the world down at Moama, at the wonderful complex down there. And of course, also playing in that for the rest of the world will be Joe Edwards, and Shannon McElroy will also be there playing in the rest of the world side, along with the great Alex Marshall and Colin Pilketh from South Africa. So we watch this Joe Edwards bowl breaking down towards the head. Has it got the weight to get all the way inside the bowl that Kelsey Cottrell has? That's a wonderful bowl from Joe Edwards. Sits right in front of the jack. And of course, Taylor Bruce has given New Zealand the advantage of the back bowl as well.
This seems to be the end that both teams prefer playing towards, isn't it? After that last end. Stark contrast with several bowls around the jack.
So Kelsey Cottrell, I'm sure, will play up, trying to make contact onto the Joe Edwards bowl. But of course, Kelsey Cottrell's got nothing over the head, so it is a bit of a challenging head to play to. She's going to try and draw. She's going to break it up towards the head now. This is a pretty good attempt, this from Cottrell. Look at this, just got a feather off that shot bowl.
Very unfortunate. Now she has that back bowl before she plays her last. That was a fine effort from Kelsey Cottrell, the skip of this Australian women's pair. Now Joe Edwards looking to add another one to the count. Wouldn't mind coming around the back, sitting in front of that previous bowl of Kelsey Cottrell.
Another good line here.
Bowl from
it's going to sit
Joe
right
Edwards.
in behind the jackhand count. That's a superb bowl from Edwards.
You love their mental approach to things here. After dropping a 5 on the previous, heads could go down after that, but straight away back on their game and really trying to turn the tables quickly on Australia.
So Kelsey Cottrell now with that back bowl. Play, won't be frightened to reach the head, try and turn that shot bowl over, and that's certainly what she's doing. It's on its way, and it just got one of the side bowls. So New Zealand laying 3 shots.
Yeah, it's knocked away one of the back bowls of Taylor Bruce, the purple bowl, and also ran into one of her own bowls, Kelsey Cottrell. So I think holding 3, can Jo Edwards just try and repeat what she's done with her last 2? Make it another shot to New Zealand. It's looking a bit narrower this time.
Well, it sits inside, but it's not quite going to.
It was a fair effort. But 3 to New Zealand, confirmed. So that tightens the game right up again. 5-4 now after 3 of the 18 ends in the women's pairs. 5-4 to Australia. And I see Taylor Bruce is one of these ones who likes to signal the 3 by waving and actually drawing the 3 rather than just using the 3 fingers.
It's a ladies' thing.
Okay.
I've never don't see the guys do it very often. Alex might, but
I find it harder to pick up. I don't know how the players find it, but I find it harder to work out. I have to think, what's happening here? Someone's drawing a number rather than just showing me with how many fingers you're putting up. Well, I think Alex Reid was just saying Aiden Takarua does the same thing. So not just a ladies thing, Kev.
Oh, well.
Skipper the Point Chev Pirates and bowls 3-5.
Of course, tonight back in New Zealand, of course, the Bowls 3-5 will be live tonight on Sky. As a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, the Bowls 3-5 will be live.
Yep. Week 6 of 8 of Bowls 3-5.
So Taylor Bruce, a good opening bowl, sits in just behind the jack by about a metre. Good start. Chloe Stewart quickly down to her work, going to sit just inside, going to sit on the bowl, just feathers it, in fact, rolls back. So here now is Taylor Bruce again. I know John Quinn, that psychologist guy, sports psychologist is here. I'd love to ask him how he tries to mentor players, the difference between playing with 2 bowls versus 3 bowls.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone who's done some great work with the Crusaders.
Certainly has.
That's John Quinn.
Certainly, Brent and I have noticed very, very clearly here that some of the players who play some disciplines with 3 bowls, and their consistency with 3 bowls is pretty good, actually, compared to 2 bowls where we see more inconsistency than consistency. It's I don't know why it is, but it's just the way it is for some players. So here now is Taylor Bruce on her forehand, playing down towards the car park end here at Musgrove Hill. It's breaking down. Looks just a good line. This bowl that breaks towards the jack. This is well played. This bowl going to sit right in behind the jack. Very good bowl there from the New Zealand lead.
Yeah, it certainly was. And brushing off that poor second end is Taylor Bruce, which was played in the same direction, as you say, was the car park end of Musgrove Hill. Much better collection from both leads, really. But certainly Taylor Bruce to pretty much right in line with the jack. So the jack's actually right in front of that top bowl of Taylor Bruce. As you look at our screen, this is why you can't see it.
New Zealand holding 1. And I see Andrew Kelly's playing in the middle of that Triples team and Jamie Hill leading. I thought it was going to be the other way around, but
no, they pretty much just went for the straight swap. So Jamie Hill replacing Chris Lalive. I think that's where they see Andrew Kelly playing. If he is going to be playing in that men's triple, is it number 2, where he has been very effective this tournament, playing after Chris Lalive?
Certainly has been.
they say, this tournament. Also the multi-nations, which preceded these Trans-Tasman tests. Joe Edwards quickly back to work.
Well, sits inside the bowl, will be good, and will count, and it does. He sits right on top of the Australian bowl and rolls in, and that'll be shot. A shot as Kelsey Cottrell now following the Joe Edwards bowl down on her forehand. At least 2 down, with Australia leading 5-4, and this is going to be narrow, this bowl of Cottrell's. Certainly well under the line. Might get in for... So, the call from Taylor Bruce, you've got to meet it, just beat your last bowl. So, obviously, the bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's made no difference, although it's short. Still not in the counting position, although Taylor Bruce having a look.
This is going to have to come back a long way. It doesn't look like it's going to.
Certainly wanted to come back, but didn't just have that weight, did it, Brenton, just to draw into it, the jack. And so here's now Kelsey Cottrell on her forehand. New Zealand definitely holding. This bowler Cottrell's trying to get down to...
It's a fair effort. So going to get round that Joe Edwards bowl inside it. No, it doesn't. Well, I think that Taylor Bruce indicating certainly 2 now for New Zealand.
Knocked that New Zealand bowl directly in behind the jack. So here now is Joe Edwards on her forehand, definitely holding, trailing 5-4 after 3 ends. Breaking down towards the jack now.
I think she was wanting this to slow up, judging by what
Gets a slide.
the hand gesture was, but that's worked out pretty handily. It's not in a bad position. The Australians do move the jack there.
2 down is the indication from Chloe Stewart. 2 down to Kelsey Cottrell. So here's now Kelsey Cottrell endeavouring to draw the shot. It is strange, Brennan, the Australian women's triple side, isn't it? Where you see Natasha Scott playing in the middle, where she skips the fours. Just watch this bowler, Kelsey Cottrell's breaking down towards the jack. Is it going to sit on the Joe Edwards bowl? It rocks it, but makes no difference.
So 2 to New Zealand. So they take the lead back for the first time since the end of the first end. After 4 now, 6-5 to New Zealand. And this women's pairs matchup, second session of the second Trans-Tasman test. The New Zealand women's 4 just got on the board, so 4-1 they trail Australia. That's the triple rather, New Zealand women's triple, 4-1 after 4 ends. And we also have the New Zealand men's pairs and triples in action. And in the triples, Australia leading 6-1 after 4 ends. And last time I saw the New Zealand men's pair was up 2-1, I think it was, after 3. Wait and see if we get the scoreboard shortly. And there's also a couple of over 60s games on. Yes, 2-1 after 3, the New Zealand men's pair leading Australia. In the over 60s, New Zealand leading 4-2-1 and trailing 3-2 in the other. There's a pairs and triples match as well in the over 60s competition of this Trans-Tasman, as Taylor Bruce with her first gets one relatively handy. As you can see, a jack placed right at the top of the centre line there, so much shorter end again being played by New Zealand.
So you see the first bowl of Chloe Stewart's on this, the 15, just go past by a metre and a bit. And as Brendan said, pretty handy is the shot bowl of Taylor Bruce. A good opening bowl. And this second bowl also just going to question, though, that line and width. It's not going to come back from there. That wasn't the wind.
Yeah, and you can see it well out as it falls in a bit. But, yeah, the weight's pretty good. But certainly the line wasn't what Taylor Bruce was after, to try and trail and draw into the jack.
Well, weight was Jack level weight. And Chloe Stewart, still the shot though. Chloe Stewart just pulls up low of the Jack, but will still be shot to New Zealand. The Taylor Bruce very first bowl. As here's Taylor Bruce now with her third bowl.
Changing hands, playing on the forehand after that Chloe Stewart bowl. Maybe just a bit in the way. So now coming on this forehand side.
It's going to pull up quite a bit short. Ellie Forsyth I see on the drive next door.
Yeah, it's Jamie Hill, new member of the New Zealand men's triple. Just come and collects killed bowl. Spat out the side of the rink. Chasing this one in or following it in. Chloe Stewart.
Touches the bowl. No, just trying to sit on her bowl. Roll it in. Would have made shot.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad effort. Certainly got a touch, but not enough of a contact to promote that bowl and to make it the shot.
So Joe Edwards now having to she'll draw on that forehand, get under the short Taylor Bruce bowl. Draw between there and the Jack. It's on its way. It's going to get past the short bowl of Taylor Bruce. And it's a matter of how far it will come back. Came back quite a distance, but more than likely not going to make the count.
No, she'll know that it's pretty much the right weight. So for next time, just adjust her line. Still make sure to get round that Taylor Bruce bowl. And there's a track towards the Jack.
And Kelsey Cottrell just goes by. Joe Edwards now. New Zealand holding the shot and leading 6-5 after 4 of 8 ends in this women's pairs day 2 of the Trans-Tasman event between New Zealand, obviously between New Zealand and Australia, with the blackjack side, the development side, and over 60s. Today, of course, at Musgrave Hill. Just going to pull up a fraction short was Joe Edwards, and tomorrow at Broad Beach. And still 1 to New Zealand.
A gust of wind is coming through our commentary position, nice and relieving from the heat for us, but certainly those wind gusts proving troublesome for the players.
Am I right at looking at that New Zealand peers board that Australia just picked up a 5?
Oh, I think it might have been a 6 because they were 2-1 up, the New Zealand men's pair. Certainly looks like a 7 on the scoreboard for Australia.
It does.
Although it's now showing 5 ends, it was only showing 3 before, so
there's
6 over a couple of ends.
So here we have now Joe Edwards playing her second bowl. Going to go past. Very difficult with those short bowls to get the dead draw weight. And again, we'll see Kelsey Cottrell will try and make contact on what is the Chloe Stewart bowl. The second shot. I don't know if that's got the weight. In fact, it won't have the weight. Gave up early on that one. You could see halfway up that certainly wasn't going to make the distance.
No, so another one to New Zealand as Taylor Bruce picks up the Jack. 7-5. New Zealand now leading Australia in this women's pairs match. As Kevin said, in the second session of the second Trans-Tasman Test here at Musgrave Hill. 4-1. Australia are leading New Zealand after 4 ends of the women's triple. In the men's triple, Australia leading 8-1 after 5. In the men's pairs, Australia leading 7-2 after 5. In the over 60s, when the pairs and triples action. In the triples, New Zealand leading 7-2, down 4-2 though, in the pairs.
So 7-5 New Zealand, and remembering, of course, we saw on that second end, New Zealand dropped that 5 and have gone on now to score a 3, a 2 and a 1 and lead 7-5. As you see, the first bowl of Taylor Bruce's go past on the wide side and heavy. So Chloe Stewart will be trying to beat that bowl inside a metre. It's on a good line, just going to depend on the weight as it's breaking down now towards the jack. Kelsey Cottrell likes it still a long way to draw the shot. There's still a metre at least to draw the shot in.
Yeah, this is the way, the direction New Zealand was playing when they did give away a 5. So I want to tidy things up here. Starting with a second bowl from Taylor Bruce, and Joe Edwards immediately is much more interested in this one.
It's a good bowl from Taylor Bruce. Got a touch on the jack, moved it over to the side.
You can see why she was interested as the spray comes out for a toucher for Joe Edwards.
It was on a good line all the way down to the jack.
Great bowl by Taylor Bruce. Needed it after a wayward first.
Chloe Stewart changing to her backhand. Haven't played many down there. Breaking down towards the head now. How far is it going to come back towards the jack? It's pretty well weighted. That's a good bowl from Chloe Stewart. It won't be shot, but certainly a good bowl. We'll see now Taylor Bruce again on her forehand, endeavouring to get another bowl on the head for Joe Edwards. Has to come down under this line. But how far is it going to run towards the jack? This is another good bowl from the New Zealand lead. That's a very, very good bowl indeed, and nestles right virtually on top of the jack.
Yeah, 2 touches. 2 great bowls from Taylor Bruce, so more than making up for the wayward first.
So here now, Chloe Stewart trying to get down to New Zealand bowls. She'll play it down on her backhand. Definitely one down. Playing with weight, it's Chloe Stewart. She's not going to be short. It's going to run by quickly under the head. So
yeah, very narrow.
Running more at the head rather than drawing. New Zealand leading 7-5 after 5 of 18 ends.
Yeah, you can see what she was trying to do there. Come on that backhand side and maybe at least get one of the bowls, and the purple bowls of Taylor Bruce, and knock them away, but she didn't have the right line. Had the weight right, but not the line to dislodge either of those Bruce bowls.
Trying to get a split really onto the bowls.
Yeah, ideally. You get the inside bowl.
So here's Joe Edwards on her backhand. May well be quite happy to get well down past the head, and that looks like the plan, Brendan, to get down towards the back. That's exactly what Joe Edwards is doing, on the basis knowing that Kelsey Cottrell wasn't like the attack.
Yeah, and after seeing the Australian league, Chloe Stewart attack, you'd expect a skip, Kelsey Cottrell, to do likewise for Australia. And here comes the full-blown drive this time.
The drive going for one of them, one of the New Zealand bowls. Remembering, of course, both of those purple bowls of Taylor Bruce's were touches. And looking from here, Taylor Bruce indicating we've got one. So Taylor Bruce on her backhand.
I just seen Ellie Forsyth kicking the ground behind Joe Edwards as well. So obviously frustrations for the skip of the men's triple.
9-2 now, Australia lead in the men's pairs, 9-2.
And 12-1, Australia lead in the men's triple. So far that change with Chris Lalive going to lead from the triple to the pair. And Jamie Hill going from lead to the pair to the triple. It hasn't seemed to work.
No. And we watched Kelsey Cottrell's move the jack right back down through there now with Australia. I'd say they're holding 2 shots. New Zealand leading 7-5. This is Joe Edwards' last bowl or third bowl on this, the 6th of 18 ends. Definitely 2 down. So here's Edwards now on the forehand, trying to get down through the port. Question that's going to come under the line, and it will.
Yeah, disappointing final bowl. That from Joe Edwards. Obviously the conditions are tricky. But we have such high expectations of a great Joe Edwards. So certainly 1, most probably 2. Australia holding.
Kelsey Cottrell, of course, got another bowl left. It's on its way, the Kelsey Cottrell bowl, trying to get down past her. Oh, she's going to get past her right with weight. That'll go well by.
Yeah, hands on heads, you can't quite work out how that happened. Not obviously what she was expecting. So Australia get the jack and the mat back after scoring on that 6th end. I believe it was 2. We'll wait official confirmation. So that should level up the scores at 7 apiece after 6 of the 18 ends. And the women's triples is tightened up after 5 of the 18 ends in that contest. 4-3 Australia leading in that. And in the over 60s in the triples, New Zealand leading 7-4. This is women. And 8-2 down in the pairs over 60s women.
Joe Edwards just checking the length of the jack because the mat is up quite a distance. Chloe Stewart on her backhand. Scores all locked up at 7-all after 6 of the 18 ends. A good opening bowl here from Chloe Stewart. It's going to sit just a higher the jack, but only just high. As Taylor Bruce now on her backhand. Going to run by though. Good line, runs by just a metre and a couple of metres. Chloe Stewart now.
Yeah, the wind whistling through as well again on our microphones. Been pretty ever present. Has picked up from first thing this morning when we started broadcasting the first session of the second Trans-Tasman Test at Musgrave Hill. And now pretty much a constant coming through the green.
So here now is Taylor Bruce's second bowl. Breaks down towards the heads. Are going to hang out on that wide side. Get inside. No, it's also on that wide side. See New Zealand in the men's triples. I just had a quick, just having to see the head down again. It's Chloe Stewart. She plays a good bowl. It's definitely 3 to Australia. Board still to be changed down there in that women's pairs, but But it will be in but a moment as we watch this bowl of Taylor Bruce. This is a better bowl from Taylor Bruce, 3 down, and she may well draw the shot in the middle of it, and she has. Well played by Taylor Bruce. Definitely 3 down.
Big applause for Aaron Sheriff. He's just a successful drive. As the wind is really buffeting through now. We mentioned we're a bit sheltered in here earlier, but a few gusts coming through into our commentary position. We're just tucked away just to your right of screen there. Just the balcony on the clubhouse here at Musgrave Hill.
11-2 now, Australia in the men's pairs. So, a good bowl by Taylor Bruce with her third bowl. Drew the shot for New Zealand. It's locked up at 7-all. Kelsey Cottrell, the Australian skip on her forehand. Chloe Stewart coaxing this bowl on. It's going to sit, just went past the bowl of Taylor Bruce, and indication from Chloe Stewart that may well be shot. Set right in behind on the centre line. So here's now Joe Edwards.
You've got plenty of room to draw into, and I certainly would be with Chloe Stewart that bowl, which is pretty much on the centre line, would be the shot to Australia.
It does sit right on the centre line, Brenton, doesn't it? That Chloe or the Kelsey Cottrell bowl. And just asking the question, is Kelsey Cottrell?
Oh, maybe a bit closer. So she's
one down.
Oh, there we go. So she's changed her mind after having a better look at the head.
Early indication was saying that they had the shot. Well, was not. Well, it appears not to be.
Now, camera angle certainly was suggesting it was Australia with the shot, but now trying to knock away what is the shot bowl and knocking away the Joe Edwards bowl as well. So only Australia really in the picture. We've got a Taylor Bruce bowl right at the bottom of the screen, but it's all Australia around the jack. Joe Edwards has 2 bowls up her sleeve though. It's an important point to make. And there's quite wide expanses to draw into.
It's breaking down towards the head now. How's the weight? Is it going to get all the way to the jack? It's running to the jack now. Looks pretty handy to me. And the McQueen of the green. She draws it dead. Does the New Zealand skip? Superb bowl by Joe Edwards. Definitely 4 down.
Yeah, it was needed. It was a good previous bowl with drive from Kelsey Cottrell to knock away what they thought was the shot bowl of New Zealand, and also this second. Another drive. This time it's going to take the jack into the ditch.
And the question is, where did the toucher go? Oh, there is the toucher in the ditch.
Yeah, we're looking live, obviously, and you can't see it on the screen. So looking live, we can see a yellow bowl. It's about 2 feet to the right of the jack.
And there's a Taylor Bruce bowl as well, sitting right on the lip of the
There you go.
green.
That's what we're talking about. So that little white marker indicating next to the white line is where the jack is in the ditch. And that yellow bowl in the ditch is obviously the shot bowl. Well, we think so. I assume that's shot bowl rather than the Taylor Bruce purple, which is good metre or so in the rink.
Joe Edwards drawing right to the board. A magnificent bowl by the New Zealand skip. Drew right to the board.
Is it enough for shot?
Well, there comes the measure. So,
yeah. Chloe Stewart's going to do the honours along with Taylor Bruce. Favour that Joe Edwards bowl from looking live.
Superb bowl from the New Zealand skip. Absolutely outstanding bowl.
Yeah, one to Joe Edwards. So, great bowl from Joe Edwards. And the score has been updated. And it's now 8-7. New Zealand leading Australia after 7 of the 18 ends in this women's fours contest. And the New Zealand women's triple also bouncing back from, I believe, 4-1 down to now lead 6-4 after 7 of the 18 ends there. Not going so well for the men, though. After 7 ends of the triple, 14-1 down. And after 7 ends of the pairs, 11-2 down. As Kevin mentioned earlier, we've got a couple of over 60s games on the screen as well. In the triples, New Zealand leading 9-4. And in the pairs, Australia leading 8-6. This is both over 60s women's action as well. And when Ben comes back from his extended lunch break, Alex will be able to make his way to the other green to give us an update on all the development games, 4 development games on the other green, and also the over 60s men action as well.
Brendan, the great thing about that last end that we just saw from Joe Edwards, New Zealand had the shot. Kelsey Cottrell drew in these windy, Kelsey Cottrell drove everything out, drove the New Zealand shot bowl out in these very windy conditions. Joe Edwards is 4 down. Kelsey Cottrell drives, takes them all out. Edwards responds, Jack goes in the ditch, and Joe Edwards then drew right to the ditch board. So to be able to do what she just did then just shows to me, as we don't have to try and convince ourselves about how good this lady is, but in these conditions, to be able to draw right to the ditch board and then also drew the shot in the same end when she was 4 down, that just says to me that she is the world number 1.
2 bowls at the absolute highest standard. In those pressure situations, there's no doubt about that. And a long-time mate, Val Smith, has just played a couple of good shots on the rink alongside as well. But Joe Edwards is no doubt casting an eye too, with the women having won the first Trans-Tasman Test at Club Helensvale, 4 matches to 2. It's currently 1.5 to a half. They are leading in this women's Trans-Tasman Test.
We see Chloe Stewart just get a touch on the jack and makes 2 of it. Just sat neatly under the jack. And Tata Bruce trying to get down to push onto the shot bowl. Got a touch on it. It's a good effort from the New Zealand lead. And the advantage, I suppose you could say, for Joe Edwards, although 2 down, there is 2 bowls over the head as we play the 8th of 18 ends, with New Zealand leading 8-7, 8-7.
Yeah, there's something there for Joe Edwards to work with, as you say. Well, don't hold the shots, and she'll make her way to the mat as promoting one of her own is Chloe Stewart there. Kelsey Cottrell enjoying that. Big high fives.
Makes 3 of it. Lunchtime today, I had the pleasure of catching up with Gary Mounsey. The New Zealand viewers watching this remember Gary Mounsey, of course, plays here now at Musgrave Hill. Gary Mounsey used to play the Paratutu Club back there in New Zealand, and of course played with Brian Baldwin for a number of years. Won New Zealand Peers, in fact, with Brian Baldwin. So great to catch up with Gary. Still actively playing and playing pennant bowls here at Musgrave Hill. Certainly was, any shadow of doubt, top player in his day in New Zealand. As Joe Edwards 3 down, and a winner, of course, of a couple of occasions with Brian Baldwin of the Taranaki Open Fours, and now residing here on the Gold Coast. 3 down.
And then you had some Rocky Road as well after lunch. Unbelievable.
We did. Some of
nice for some. Some have the life, don't they, Alex? Got time for lunch and a Rocky Road.
Well, Alex goes chocolate shopping at night. Yeah. As I said to someone, we've got to keep Alex fed and watered. And he went and bought the chocolates last night. So Joe Edwards, 3 down, having to draw down on that backhand side, draws through a melee of bowls to get to the shot. Going to come back enough? No, it's not. Going to run into a bowl. Not going to go past on the outside. May only be 2 down. No, it would be 3. I was just looking at the position of that back bowl. But as we say, the monitor or the camera angles can make it a bit different to what it really is.
Yeah, likewise, when you look live, though, from an angle like we are, it's certainly deceiving too.
It is.
Because when you look at it live, this yellow bowl out to the right looks a lot closer live for us than it does on the screen here.
Certainly does. Kelsey Cottrell, just go by and sit down towards the back.
Yeah, so if she tries to play with some running weight, Joe Edwards, she'll have the back bowl, Kelsey Cottrell, getting that in place. This is the last bowl now for Joe Edwards, an important one on this 8th end of 18. Having to make the correction from her previous 2. Trying to get and cut in, and cut that as she turns her back on it. Doesn't like it. It's just not going to come back from there where she wanted it to.
It's a very fine line, obviously, down there, Brendan, isn't it, to get that run line in towards the jack. There's a lot of driving going on. I see Andrew Kelly driving. I see Gary Lawson driving. It's driving all over the place by New Zealand.
Right, they're trying to play catch-up, aren't they? Because big holes, both the men's triple and men's pair. I'll give you a score update after this end. This last bowl from Kelsey Cottrell, trying to add to the count.
Is it on a better line for Australia? If it's under the head here, it's got a good chance of counting. Just a matter of how far it's going to run under the line. If it gets under this mauve bowl, one would think that would count.
Well, you'd think that's at least 3. Didn't see the indication there from Taylor Bruce. So
3 or 4.
Taylor Bruce, I think, is going to do the honours for us. Yes, she's making her way to the scoreboard to confirm. It was 3 or 4. Certainly it's gone to double digits, and it was 4. So big end for Australia. 4 they collect, just like they did on the second end of this match. So 11-8, the Australian women's pair of Kelsey Cottrell, the skip, and Chloe Stewart over Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce. As we now play the 9th end, approaching the halfway stage after 8 ends of the men's triples. Australia 14, leading New Zealand 5. And the pairs 14-2, Australia leading, and the men's pairs. And in the women's triples, after 8 ends, New Zealand leading 7-4. So it's going all right in the women's open competition, not so well in the men's. And in the over 60s and the women's triples, 9-5 New Zealand leading, and the pairs 10-6 Australia leading. So those 2 matches split at the moment. Here's Taylor Bruce after a good first bowl from Chloe Stewart, who draws within a foot of the jack. Short with her first, comes under the line, doesn't have the right weight or the green.
Well, because the other thing we've got to remember, Brenton, is that these are conditions, obviously, that when it come the World Bowls, we're going to be subject to these conditions because we're going to be using this particular, we're playing up here at Musgrave Hill. Chloe Stewart, 20 feet short. So we have to try and adapt ourselves, don't we, to these conditions.
Oh, we welcome Ben back from his long lunch.
No, he is back. Hello, Ben.
Almost forgotten what he looked like. Alex will hopefully get something to eat at some stage today, other than just Rocky Road. I'm worried about his health when he's just eating chocolate and jerky. So far his diet consisted of jerky, what were the crocodiles he was eating last night, and chocolate. It's just... And horrible drink that Robbie also consumes. I'm not going to give them any advertising space.
So, see this Chloe Stewart bolt. The bowl breaks towards the head. That'll be 2. And New Zealand got to start, imperative that Taylor Bruce starts to get some bowls close for Joe Edwards to draw to or to attack to. And this third bowl of Taylor Bruce's as well is going to be way on the wide side. Al Melrose, the New Zealand rink coach, sitting in behind there. Might be time to a little word of encouragement. Two down, trailing 11-8. So, a change over on the 9th of N, 9 of 18, and Chloe and Kelsey Cottrell. Also, her bolt is going to hang right on that wide side, but go towards the back. Very much on the wide side. So we're watching that Joe Edwards down on the head again, having to try and reduce. There she is on the draw, trying to draw up to the Chloe Stewart counting bowls on her forehand. I'm going to question how that weight and line is, Brendan. It's going to be under the line. Weight more than likely wasn't that bad. Possibly it would have been short, but
yeah, finding a similar home to a couple of Taylor Bruce's. So New Zealand still looking for one within really 6 feet.
You'd think this bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's coming in off that wider line. It's got a long way to come back. I know they're encouraging it coming back. If it sits inside the Taylor Bruce bowl, which it does, that will count as well.
So Australia, 3 of 4.
So here's Nat Joe Edwards on her forehand. 3 down, trailing 11-8. Definitely got a different line with this bowl. There's no weight.
Yeah, she turns her back on that one pretty quickly. That's going to sit alongside the short bowl of Chloe Stewart. Not actually even reaching Chloe Stewart. So, again, another messy end from New Zealand.
Well,
last time we saw a really messy end, they obviously dropped that 4 on the second.
I just wonder, Brendan, whether there's this psychological thing about the wind. The Australians don't seem to have too great a difficulty with it. And I see 2 good bowls there by Selena Goddard. You've just got to get out and forget about the wind. And I know it's challenging. I'm not for one moment saying it's not challenging. Of course it is. As we watch now, Kelsey Cottrell is going to draw another shot, and that's 4. Joe Edwards might, if she could see it, she might have a drive at this if she can see it.
I've got an update from Alex Reid. And we'll bring that to you at the end of this end.
New Zealand just scored in the triple in the pairs. Men's pairs. It's well overdue. So here's now Joe Edwards on the drive. Trying to get through that front port to get to the 3 counting bowls. She's now waiting for a bowl to go by. Just waited on the mat.
Yeah, men's triples action alongside Joe Edwards. So just waiting for that movement in her eye line.
On the draw. Definitely 4 down. How's this one going? Is it breaking down? No, that's not going to be. Taylor Bruce clapping it. 4.
It should be 4 to Australia. So another big end for the Aussies. So they've had, a 5? And that's 2 4s now for Australia.
They certainly have 13 shots. The fact that they've scored on 3 ends, and that only other Scott shot is a 2, and they're in front of 15-8.
Yeah, 15-8 after 9 now of the 18 ends, so halfway through this match. So while New Zealand have scored on 5 of the ends, Australia have scored the big numbers when they have scored. And they now lead by 7 shots. Quickly go through the scores on this green, and then I'll bring you up to date with those on the other green. In the women's triples, New Zealand is leading 8-4 after 9 of the 18 ends. After 9 of the 18 ends in the triples, Australia leading 18-15. After 10 of the 18 ends in the men's pair, Australia also in control, 14-3. In the over 60s women's triples, New Zealand leading 10-5, I believe it is. Yes, 10-5. And in the over 60s women's pairs, Australia leading 10-8. And then on the other green, over 60s men's triples, New Zealand leading 7-5 after 8. Over 60s men's pairs, New Zealand leading 6-5 after 8. Development men's triples, 7-6 up after 9. Development men's pairs are all square at 8 all after 10. Development women's triples, 13-4 down after 9. And development women's pairs are 12-2 up after 7. So on the other green, pretty good reading so far for New Zealand. Obviously, still relatively early days and close in a lot, but not bad so far for the over 60s and also the development on that other green. But here, after New Zealand had led 7-5, they led also 8-7, now 15-8 down, and already Chloe Stewart, as you see that the wind, example of it with the tree in the background. It's a blustery old day.
I'll just take a look, Brendan, at the men's pairs head over there. That's just the leads we've just played. And there is 40 feet would cover all of the bowls.
Yeah, of course our viewers can't see that, but well away. Certainly not the kind of bowls that you want to play, but just an example. Kevin's pointing out that these conditions are difficult, that some of the very best are struggling too.
Well, Chloe Stewart has drawn 2 very close bowls here, and I think the demons have got into the New Zealanders' head about the wind, and this bowl of Taylor Bruce's, it's going to fall narrow and short, and they're going to change over 2 down, and there's no doubt about it, they've let it get to it's got to them.
Well, it's funny because, you know, after dinner, you know, a few of the New Zealand coaches were saying it's supposed to be quite windy tomorrow at Musgrave Hill, and Peter Bellis, head coach, said, great, we're used to that, bring it on. And you'd think it would suit New Zealand because while it's windy, it's nothing crazy out of this world. It's just relatively windy. It's blustery for Gold Coast standards, but for New Zealand standards, this is just a really usual day.
Oh, like if you were playing bowls in Wellington, Palmerston North, a number of Christchurch, you know, when the nor'wester gets up, as you know, in Christchurch, you know, this is no different at all. It's, to me, it's a mindset.
So New Zealand have to change that, otherwise they're going to see themselves continue to go backwards. Must be saying that one team bucking the trend is the New Zealand women's triple. They had a narrow loss in the fours, the Caitlin Inch side earlier today, but they're 9-4 up now after 10 of 18 ends in the women's triple.
Joe Edwards 3 down here trying to get to the jack, and it was a great effort by the New Zealand skip, and she's going to just nip through the head, and this is going to happen because Joe Edwards is having to try and search to get shots to get into counting positions, and it's so difficult in these conditions. Not so much the wind, but just this type of green. Your bowl will quickly just disappear. And I see Australia scoring again in the men's pairs. in the fours, in this pairs here now. Australia holding another 4. So Jo Edwards under pressure yet again. Very close with her first bowl. She'll play down on her forehand, down towards the car park end here at Musgrove Hill. Needs to get under the head to the shot bowl. It's not. Is it going to run all the way? It's certainly going. There's a great bowl here from Edwards. Going to touch the bowl, touches the jack. Superb bowl from the New Zealand skip. Taylor Bruce should run up the green and give her a hug, actually, because they were definitely four down again.
They needed that.
And that shows the class of Jo Edwards.
Indicating there, I think Chloe Stewart, I thought I saw her put the 1 up, so perhaps they're still holding the shot, but obviously they were holding 4, so
definitely holding 4.
Not downplaying the brilliance of that bowl. It was a touch shot, just unfortunately it knocked it a bit closer to one of the Australian bowls rather than carrying with the bowl of Jo Edwards.
Of course, Jo Edwards now, she can touch that jack again on that draw and certainly make 2 of it, but it was a big saving bowl by the New Zealand skip.
Yeah, I think Taylor Bruce just said try and play the same if you can. See, a lot harder than it looks, that's for sure.
Got that lovely, got that away very well on the forehand side, did Jo Edwards. Just going to question the weight, certainly on a good line, on a perfect line to get to the jack this time. She'll get to the jack this. No, she won't.
Just slides past and then past that previous bowl as a big gust of wind came through just at that moment, which no doubt would have affected things.
I thought then that she had the jack right in the middle. I thought that was just that touch of the jack to make 2 of it. Desperately unlucky was the New Zealand skip, because certainly
1 down New Zealand, so despite the brilliance of Jo Edwards, it's another to this Australian women's pair of Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart, 16-8. They now lead after 10 of the 18 ends. And the New Zealand men's triple scored some much needed shots, now 19-8. They trail Australia. 15-3, Australia leading New Zealand in the men's pairs. So really a struggle for the men, the open men, so far this afternoon.
New Zealand women's triples, the Caitlin inside, they're holding they're holding their heads up high. They're going pretty good yet again, Brenton.
Yeah, 9-4. They're up after 10 ends. Currently playing the 11th, just turning it over for the skips, and Beck Van Ash and Caitlin Inch of New Zealand. But our feature is very much this women's pairs battle. And it's been
16-8.
a quite incredible game as far as New Zealand, believe it or not, actually not too long ago, did lead 8-7. Last 3 ends, they've dropped at 4-4 and a 1.
Incredible. Both scored on the same number of ends. Both scored on 5 ends. It's Caitlin Inch, superb bulge there and just dragged the jack. Well done.
Yeah, again, just out of screen, just to our right in the rink alongside the pitcher. Great bowl from Caitlin Inch, who's been on top of her game these 2 days of the Trans-Tasman. That's for sure, as again, Taylor Bruce is well short.
Well, I'm going to make a prediction right here and now, Brenton, that the 2 skips for the women going to the World Bowls will be Jo Edwards and Caitlin Inch.
I don't think that's the most bold prediction. But I think you're bang on, and it's going to need something incredible to change. Massive injury for illness, really, because Jo Edwards is obviously a no-brainer as the skip of the pair. And then Caitlin Inch has very much put her hand up to skip both the triple, which are playing alongside us, and also the 4 we saw yesterday, didn't we, in our second session of the first Trans-Tasman. Come away with a thrilling 15-14 win, and a lot of brilliance from Caitlin Inch the young New Zealand skip.
Interesting as well today, Brenton. I was talking to one of the Australian people, and one of the shining, they think one of the big shining lights coming forward from Australia is the young fella yesterday, Jake Rinn from North Toowoomba, the 16-year-old who we did that game yesterday afternoon. They got really high hopes for this, the young 16-year-old. They really think he's the goods. So
yeah, I think we maybe didn't see the best out of him yesterday afternoon because they had a big, comfortable win, didn't they, in the development triples earlier in the day, 30-7. And the match we saw, it went down to the final end.
Ben's just moving house behind us. So you watch this third bowl. Caitlin Ince 2 down on the head, trailing 16-8 as the New Zealand side. There's a great effort here from the New Zealand lead. And may well be second shot, 16-8 Australia lead at the halfway mark, really, of this match.
Yeah, needed as well. Certainly needed bowls from Taylor Bruce.
Good afternoon, everybody.
You're not meant to turn the cameras on us, Ben. We're not pretty enough. There's a very interesting stage of this match as the ends being 8 down. New Zealand are starting to run out, so that makes that last bowl of Taylor Bruce so important.
In fact, it could be shot, Brendan. If I looking at the monitor here, may have just certainly we were 2 down. We're certainly not 2 down. That's for sure. Joe Edwards now on the mat.
And it gives, most importantly, gives something for Joe Edwards to work to now. And most of the recent ends, she's had to really pay saving shots.
Absolutely, there's been nothing at all on the head. And Joe Edwards battling as well. Going to pull up short.
Yeah, expect her to certainly improve on that with her next 2 bowls. Joe Edwards, rear bowl, well short of the head.
Kelsey Cottrell, the girl that could have played for New Zealand.
Well, born in New Zealand, wasn't she?
Certainly was. South Islander, looking for the jackers, Kelsey Cottrell, and just goes past. Yes, I think it was down there in the Christchurch area somewhere that Kelsey Cottrell was born. In fact, came back and played in the Nationals with her mother. And, of course, that's the year when she beat Taylor Bruce in the final of the singles. And Kelsey's partner, Andrew Howie, of course, who was here, he was runner-up in the pairs. So the Joe Edwards bowl went, in fact, dead on the draw.
Yeah, well, it must be, the wind must be doing some strange things because you don't see that.
Certainly not.
Happening from Joe Edwards. We mentioned earlier
so here we have the bowl of Kelsey Cottrell. She's going to play. She's playing with weight through to that Taylor Bruce bowl. Obviously, that's the shot, trying to get to the bowl. And flicked off a short bowl. We might see New Zealand score for the first time for some time, Brenton, since the 7th end, since New Zealand have scored.
Yeah, 3 successive ends for Australia, and they've not just been singles either. There have been a couple of 4s amongst those 3 ends as well. Is it going to be third time lucky for Joe Edwards on what seems like a very tricky side of the rink? It's not going to come back enough. So 1 to New Zealand. So they stop the rot. And they're back on the board. 16-9 it is. Now to Australia after 11 of the 18 ends in the women's pairs. And the triples. 10-4 New Zealand after 11 of the 18. And the men's triples. 19-9 to Australia after, I believe, 12 of the 18. That's 15-5. Australia leading New Zealand after 12 of the 18 ends in the men's pairs. And then we've got on the screen the two over 60s matches, and in the triples, Australia leading 15-12 after 10 ends, and I'll bring you an update shortly on what's happening in the over 60s women's pairs. In fact, I can let you know it's Australia 12-10 after 11 of the 18 ends there. We have the two over 60s men's matches on the other green, as well as all the development games, which will have an update for you 3 or 4 ends time.
Better opening bowl then by Taylor Bruce on this, the 12th end. It just went by just over a metre. And Chloe Stewart now, Australia leading, of course, 16-9 as we play the 12th of 18 ends here at the Musgrove Hill Club on the Gold Coast, Australia. We trust all our New Zealand viewers are enjoying this coverage as Chloe Stewart sits right in behind the jack.
Oh, and Australian viewers, no doubt. I'm sure there will be a few Australians watching this coverage. Of course, this Trans-Tasman Test, the second one from Musgrave Hill, will be at Broadbeach Bowls Club tomorrow for the third and final Trans-Tasman Test. See a good effort here from Taylor Bruce as she trails the jack. Unfortunately, it just goes towards the Chloe Stewart bowl, and Australia holding the shot, but that's a toucher, and that'll be a bit of a confidence boost.
Very good bowl. Two good bowls from Taylor Bruce actually on this end, and this is the 12th end. Both of those bowls were pretty close, of course, and got the touch-up. We watch now Chloe Stewart from the Tweed Heads Club playing her second bowl. It's just going to draw under the head, and Joe Edwards saying to Taylor Bruce, you can set that bowl out, just play it with confidence on the backhand. Trying to reach the shot bolt or the jack. How's that line as it breaks down towards the head? This is another good effort by Taylor Bruce, and that's a magnificent bowl by the Burnside lead. The New Zealand lead got a touch on the jack, moved it back, and it would be holding more than 2 or 3, Brendan. It's very, very good. Oh, it may not be actually now when I look on the monitor, but very, very good bowl.
You've got to stop looking live, Kevin.
Yeah,
because the monitor's telling a completely different story, isn't it?
It was a good bowl from Taylor Bruce.
Oh, it certainly was. That part didn't lie. There's no doubt about that.
3 good bowls, in fact, on this end.
There's every now and then these big gusts come through and they pick up all the dust and the loose grass as well.
There's Chloe Stewart now playing her third bowl. You can feel that wind coming in behind us now, and watching here on the monitor, you can see that wind just pulling that bowl of Chloe Stewart's back towards the head. Virtually went full circle. Came from one side of the green, and just in a matter of a couple of seconds, finished up sitting right across the other side of the rink. 16-9, Australia leading 16-9. Skips change over. And see what Joe Edwards now. So going to pull a couple of shots back. There's still enough ends, but of course New Zealand must start scoring. There's plenty of ends left, but you don't want to let the Australians get away. And of course Joe Edwards now trying to play to reach the Taylor Bruce bowls, turn them into the head. Turn one of them into the head or get past. Just going to go wide of the bowl.
The wind's starting to play a bit of havoc with some of the scoreboards as well. I don't think the New Zealand women's triple are leading 20-4.
Drive we just see from Australia there. Now here's Kelsey Cottrell. This bowl is on a good line. This bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's breaks into the head now. Just goes through by a metre.
Yeah, if that. Great bowl, great effort from Kelsey Cottrell. Joe Edwards with her penultimate bowl of this 12th end as we are at the 2/3 points of this women's pairs matchup in the second session of the second Trans-Tasman
This looks
Test.
a better line to get to the shot bowl and does. Well played by Joe Edwards. Just had to get a feather onto one of those outside bowls, which she did, and made shot of it for sure.
A near toucher from Joe Edwards, sliding off that wide bowl of Taylor Bruce.
So I think it saw the indication at least two, what do you mean, three down that Chloe Stewart indicated, but it doesn't look good on the monitor. So we'll see now. Kelsey Cottrell, sunglasses on the backhand, trying to reach down to where these New Zealand counting bowls are. And Chloe Stewart watching it closely, trying to get it coaxed into the head.
Again, not a bad effort. Wasn't far away, but that's a fine line at this level, especially when you're going up against one of the absolute titans and Joe Edwards.
So here's Joe Edwards again on her forehand as we come to near the end of the 12th end. Again, this is on a good line as it breaks down towards the head. Is it going to get the weight to get all the way underneath? If it sits on the front of this, it'll count, and it does. It's a great bowl by the New Zealand skip.
I'll see what they indicate here, or whether they do indicate. Kelsey Cottrell is down there to assess the head.
So it looks like 3 from here, looking on that monitor, Brenton.
Yeah, it certainly does. Obviously, angles can be deceiving, especially when it's so far up the rink, isn't it? From where our camera is.
Well, the point for Kelsey Cottrell, she can't afford to lose the Australian bowl in the front of the head, because if you look around the head from there, the next 1, 2, 3, 4 bowls are definitely all New Zealand bowls. So she shouldn't want to lose that bowl that's in the front there.
Well, it's certainly taking her time. Knows how important this is. If she can't pull it off, then New Zealand will be right back into this contest. 7 shots between them at the moment, but we believe New Zealand's holding 3 here. This 12th end, just the one bowl to be played by the Australian skip, Kelsey Cottrell. What can she come up with? Looks like she's going to come again for the 3rd time on this backhand side. Does she get the line right? Has she got the weight right to threaten the count?
Needs to get all the way up, is what Chloe Stewart's saying. Is it going to get all the way up? No, it's not.
Gets a bit of a slide off that bowl, but not enough to count, I wouldn't have thought. So I think we saw 2 or 3 signalled there.
Well, ask Alex, because it would have. Oh, where's Alex? Has he disappeared? Because he knows all the finger.
No, I think we actually just had the fingers,
the 2, did we?
But they were just put up very, very quickly. Wait for confirmation. And it looks like Chloe Stewart's now making her way to the board. And it looks like it is a 2. After 12 ends. I think the scoreboard is actually incorrect because it's got showing 17-11. I think that was the wind knocked it over. So it's 16-11 now after 12 of the 18 ends. So 2/3 of the way through the contest. And a good end for New Zealand. Much needed. They've dropped some big numbers in this women's pairs contest, but they're still in the fight with a 1/3 of the match to be played in the women's triples rather. New Zealand leading 13-4 after 12 of the 18. The men's triples, Australia 22-9 in command after 13 there. And after 13 ends of the men's pairs, Australia 15, New Zealand 6. New Zealand up 14-5 in the women's over 60 triples. And can't see the scoreboard at the moment in the women's over 60s pairs. Australia were leading that contest. In fact, they are leading 13-10 10. So that's all the updates from this green. Our feature green of the day in the second Trans-Tasman Test. Make sure you come back as well and obviously stay with us for the remaining 6 ends of this match. But in our third and final session of the day, we will have men's singles action for you. Jamie Hill up against Aaron Wilson. A Trans-Tasman battle, which will undoubtedly be very important because the men are struggling today. They managed to win the men's fours 17-10, but Jamie Hill was outclassed in the earlier men's singles match, 21-12 by Aaron Wilson. And at the moment, the men are down big in both of these matches, Kevin.
Well, we'd have to win both of the remaining matches, Brendan, otherwise it's all over, because Australia winning the first men's test yesterday, so they'd have to win both of the both the remaining games today to be able to have an opportunity to
a realistic chance,
chance to go in tomorrow. And look, New Zealand, I would say they'll be very disappointed with what's happened this round, because in that round this morning we saw the New Zealand Fours team, the rejigged New Zealand Fours team, they came together very well actually. As I watched Ali Forsyth, he's on the big drive. They came together very, very well, didn't they, Brenton, and played collectively as a team. I thought they got the game together and played well.
Yeah, one thing that Chris Lalive did mention, though, they did get quite a lot of luck, the New Zealand team. Australia were quite unfortunate, so I know he certainly wasn't getting too carried away with that result, given that Australia were quite unlucky in that contest. But yeah, obviously some promising signs and certainly an improvement from what we've seen with the men's fours earlier in the Trans-Tasman, but also in the multi-nations.
I hear what you're saying about the bit of luck. We did have a bit of luck. I'd be the first to admit that, but you also got to have bowls around the head to have the opportunity to have that luck, because if you haven't got the bowls in around the head, got no show anyway. And it was how they sort of came back. Like they dropped a 4 at the very first end, and I just thought that overall they just got their game together pretty well actually.
Yeah, well, they're going to be in action again in this third and final session of the day, which will have the singles and fours disciplines for men and women, and not only for the Blackjacks and Jackaroos, but also for the development and over 60s as well.
I suppose it's fair to say, they're certainly scratching, making the selectors scratch their heads, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's not easy for the selectors who have made changes to both the triples and pairs in this session after making changes to the singles and fours in the previous. So Chris Lalive has switched from the triples to the pairs, where he's now leading. Jamie Hill swapped roles with him, so he's joined the triples after being in the pair with Gary Lawson. But this combination, Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards, has been ever present. They struck up a good combination in the multi-nations. Only lost one match in the multi-nations at Broadbeach, going down to an extra end to the great Karen Murphy. They lost one of their 2 matches, though, in this discipline yesterday.
Of course, the last game that was for Karen Murphy, wasn't it? And so, what a way! Here we went out on an extra end with her last bowl when she drove the shot bowl out.
This is looking at concerning head again for New Zealand, Kevin. And Sharon Sims, the rink coach there on screen, will no doubt be a bit concerned out. This is turning out at the moment. 3 Australian bowls all around the jack.
With Australia leading 16-9, and Joe Edwards on the drive trying to reduce, and she got rid of a couple of them. That'll leave 2, but as you say, Brendan, they're certainly locked right on top of the jack, aren't they? The 2 counting bowls, the 2 remaining counting bowls, and our bowls are somewhat, say, scattered.
Yeah, she got rid of one of her bowls and also one of the original 3 Australian bowls. So now it's just the Taylor Bruce purple bowls that are the left, but some distance away from the head, which Kelsey Cottrell manages to have a glancing blow off a Chloe Stewart bowl, but she was hoping to sit amongst those shot bowls, so slid further past than she was after.
Well, I think she has to go again, does Joe Edwards. will try and run the jack. Taylor Bruce bowl and behind the head. Hard shot in these conditions for sure. So Edwards just standing, waiting on the mat. You'll see her bowling cloth there blowing in the breeze. As trying to get down to, it's a really hard shot, trying to get down to those bowls. And it's sure going to come back a long way, but certainly not going to assist the scoring of the head.
It did come back a long way. And now Chloe Stewart saying to Kelsey Cottrell, play inside that last bowl from Joe Edwards. And you can add to the count.
So here's the Kelsey Cottrell bowl. It's now breaking in towards the head. Just got to get inside this port here.
That's exactly what she's done.
Yes, that's for sure.
It should be 3. Yeah, confirmed 3 to Australia. Big high five from Kelsey Cottrell to Chloe Stewart. So set up by the lead, capitalised on with the skip. Well done, Australia. 3 more to their total. 19-11 it should be, although the scoreboard there reads 20-11, but I'm pretty certain that was because the score was flipped over.
I'll go with 19.
Yeah, we'll stick with 19. Confident with that. There was wind gusts and the scoreboard next door was going crazy as well, so it certainly wouldn't have surprised me if one went over the Australians when it shouldn't have.
So, Jack's been delivered, 3/4 length head.
New Zealand are in a good position in the other Open Women's match. Triples, they're up 13-5 after 13 ends. It's struggle street though for the men, unfortunately, after 15-18 ends in both. Australia in command, 26-9. In the, I assume it's not the wind ticking over the scoreboard because it's just trying to flick it over to 27 at the moment, but I think it's 26-9. And
I just saw that board.
16-7 in the men's pairs. The triples first, 26-9. The pairs, 16-7. Both down. And in the over 60s women's pairs, Australia 17, New Zealand 10. But in the over 60s women's triples, it's New Zealand 14, Australia 6.
Good opening bowl by Taylor Bruce. Just goes in behind the head towards the centre line. Just a couple of feet in behind the jack. You see now Chloe Stewart, the lead for Kelsey Cottrell. This looks as though it's not going to run all the way. Always look on the light side. So now we see definitely the shot to New Zealand. Taylor Bruce try and build on that. And again, this looks a pretty good line as it breaks down towards the head. And will sit jack level, sit inside. That went past, in fact, looked to be jack level weight. Just went by. New Zealand definitely holding. 19. It's 19-11.
Yeah, if it stays that it is, both these women's matches as well will be New Zealand leading this second test. Of course, they won the first. In fact, they've just picked up another 2, have the women's triple. So they're now led by 10, 15-5 with 4 ends remaining in that match.
Certainly building on confidence, aren't they? This New Zealand triple side with Selena Goddard, Val Smith, and their skip, Caitlin Ince. No, very confident side, going well. Watch this bolt of Taylor Bruce. It's going to just slip away under the head after Chloe Stewart drew the shot. So we'll see now, Joe Edwards, because they've got to really start scoring now, Brendan.
Certainly do. Running out of ends in this contest to get back into it. 8 down. They will be buoyed with what's happening next door to them in the women's triples.
You made the point before, and I just wonder, Brenton, is we had certainly seen tighter heads with this game right in front of us here, right in front of the clubhouse, and there may well be a bit more shelter on that side from some of the gusty winds that are going through, because we've certainly seen tighter heads, aren't we, on this particular game out here in front of us.
Yeah, we're certainly seeing happier faces as well, I think, overall in this match. There has been gusts that certainly have affected the closest rink to us, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some benefit, a bit of shelter compared to those, especially the two men's contests outside the women here and the women's pairs.
But if I look out now to that triples game out there in the middle, Brennan, there's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bowls, 8 bowls now, all within 2 tea towels. So, you know, you can do it.
Yeah, it is possible.
So here now is Kelsey Cottrell, the skip of the Australian pairs, and she's going to knock her own bowl, but going to sit on the Taylor Bruce bowl. So still holding shot as Australia. Just again, just seems also a wee bit strange. So in the fours this morning, we saw Kelsey Cottrell leading for Australia in that New Zealand, in the Australian fours side, but she skips the pairs side.
It's strange, isn't it?
And Natasha Scott skips the fours side, and she's playing in the middle of the triples team. Just seems, I don't know, just seems a bit strange. Joe Edwards getting to the jack. Is it going to stop? Going to fall over for shot. Not giving anything away. It looks like shot here when I look at it on the monitor, because it's sitting just in behind the jack. It's come now to the end of the 14th end.
Great bowl that from Joe Edwards. Needed as well. New Zealand need every single shot they can get in this contest, down by 8. And it was this morning 1.5 to a half Australia in the women's matches. So as it currently stands, Australia actually still would lead the second Trans-Tasman test. So my apologies for what I said earlier, because in the women's singles earlier today, 19 all draws, playing with weight is Kelsey Cottrell, and she knocks out that shot bowl.
On the drive was the Australian skip, and it was the shot, obviously, of Joe Edwards. Just drove the bowl out clean. Didn't touch anything.
With power as well.
That was quick, wasn't it?
It certainly was. It was up anything that Ryan Bester delivers. Master blaster in Canada.
They had a bit of Mitchell Stark speed behind it, that one.
I think we're getting a bit carried away there.
It was very quick. So Joe Edwards trying to get the shot back. How's the weight as it breaks its way now down towards the head. Trying hard to get all the way in. Not going to go by.
Yeah, well wide in the end. So Taylor Bruce says it's 1 to Australia. So that will make it 20-11 after 14 of the 18 ends. And in a very commanding position, Kelsey Cottrell and Chloe Stewart.
Certainly have dominated the bulk of this game, especially that scoring spree, as we'll call it, in the mid stages. They certainly loaded the pressure onto the New Zealand combination. Jack's been delivered. Seeing the pairs, Australia scored again. Scoreboard about to be changed. And here in the triples out in front of us, the women's triples, I can see that it's Val Smith that's holding the shot.
Yeah, 17-7 it is now in the men's pairs. Australia leading after 16 now of the 18 ends. So we'll have a result in that and the men's triples before we leave you, because there are a couple of ends ahead of the women's pairs match, which we're bringing to you. And, of course, we'll be back in around an hour's time for the third and final session of this second Trans-Tasman Test. We're bringing you men's singles action. Jamie Hill up against Aaron Wilson, the Commonwealth Games champion in that discipline.
That should be a fairly quick game, Brendan, because both of them get on the mat and there's no mucking around with either one of them, is there?
No, and it was quite a tight contest from this morning, early on, before
it was early in the game.
Wilson ran away with it. Ended up being 21-12 to Wilson, but it was, I think, 12-11 at one stage to Wilson. Bruce comes under the line here and finishes well short. So again, two wayward bowls. Certainly not much better. Chloe Stewart's has now her third. The Australian lead. Hanging out wide on the forehand side. It's just going to come inside those men's bowls on the rink next door, needing a gust of wind to bring it closer.
Well, that's certainly, we need Mum's old clothesline out there at the moment, don't we? Because it's they'd be spread over about 20 feet, the bowls below the head, at the top of the head. So we watch this bowl of Taylor Bruce's now break towards the head, and it's got some speed on, and it's going to run by as well, and more than likely there's the front bowl of Taylor Bruce's could in fact be the shot. The bowl over here.
Yeah, to the right of screen, but yeah, it's not a great collection. You expect the skips of the calibre of Kelsey Cottrell and Joe Edwards to certainly change the proceedings here, because the collection from their leads really nowhere near the jack. They are difficult conditions, but I get the feeling this rink in particular is playing a bit tougher than the others, because the collection of heads and a lot of the other greens aren't this bad.
No, they're not. No, they're
and
not.
There's some great players involved here, and we saw just the other day in the Multi-Nations Women's Pairs final, Taylor Bruce was peppering the jack in that match.
Played very, very well in that final. A lot of room here, and that Australia would now be holding the shot with that bowl of Kelsey Cottrell's. That would be the shot. So here's now Joe Edwards on her forehand, trailing 20-11 as we play in 15 of 18, and playing up, and it'll come under the head, and it's going to be under the head, and 1-2 as indicated by Chloe Stewart. 1-2 Australia, as we see Chloe Stewart now play her third bowl on this, the 15 of 18 ends.
Oh, I've had Alex Reid go check the board, and it seems that Australia actually do have 21, so I'm not sure when they scored that other shot, but that's the score, 21-11, so it makes that task even tougher for New Zealand.
Certainly does. And down here on this head too, that bowl there at the corner, about a metre and a bit out from the head of Kelsey Cottrell bowl, is definitely the shot. So here's now Joe Edwards on her backhand, trying to get up and inside these counting bowls. That's not great. It's just going to go underneath the head. Joe Edwards will be getting very frustrated by now, I would say, Brenton.
Yeah, if she isn't already. Hasn't gone the way of this New Zealand women's pair at all.
17-7, as Brendan said, Australia leading New Zealand in the men's pairs, as Kelsey Cottrell plays her last bowl on this, the 15th end, with Australia holding the shot, and Chloe Stewart trying to get it to slow down. They're going to sit on something. They're just going to run by.
It's hard to tell. No one's really close, but that last Joe Edwards bowl could actually be the shot.
It could be. Brendan, looking here on the monitor, you're right. So here we have Edwards now on her backhand.
They're both going to have to get the team measure out, unless Joe Edwards can't get one close herself. I don't think she's got the weight right this time, and you can see her down the other end, just absolutely confused with what was going on this rink. So, didn't see the signal from Chloe Stewart again.
1 to Australia.
So, 1 to Australia. Well, it seems obviously a lot more simple for where they were than what we were. I could not tell really at all who was holding the shot. So, 22-11 now. They extend their advantage. Now just 3 ends remaining in this women's pairs contest. And it's all but over for New Zealand now. Really just about differential. See if they can score on these last 3 ends, because they want to remain alive in this second Trans-Tasman test for the Open women, because it's looking good on the rink alongside. 15-6 after 15 of the 18 ends in the women's triples. New Zealand leading. That is, the Open men has been alluded to a few times, not going well. Australia 27-11 up after 17 of the 18 ends in the men's triples. And the men's pairs, New Zealand also well down in that. And you've got the 2 over 60s women's matches also on our rink, but the wind I think is playing a bit of havoc with the scoreboard, so I might just stay away from updates on those scores.
To see Jeff Hawken arrive here. Jeff Hawken, another former New Zealand player, won the New Zealand pairs years back with Morris Symes, and went on to play for New Zealand when playing out of Taranaki at Hara Park, and lived over here on the Gold Coast for a number of years.
You always have to get those Taranaki references in.
Yeah, well.
The only place more parochial is Canterbury. Taranaki is right up there. They're always talking about it. People from Taranaki.
It's a pretty special place.
Yeah. We know. We know. You don't hear people from Auckland or people from counties or people from, Waikato or, the Bay of Plenty saying as much about their place as people from Taranaki and Canterbury.
Home of the Barretts.
Oh, really? I wouldn't have known that.
Barrettville.
Oh, that's where they're from.
Conrad Smith.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all went to the one college as well. John Mitchell, same college.
Oh, amazing.
All good Naki lads. Francis Douglas College as well.
Here we go. Yeah, enough now.
Yeah, that's... So, here's Chloe Stewart playing her last bowl on this, the 16th end, as it breaks down towards the head, and it's on a pretty good line to the jack. That would be the shot for sure. In fact, more than likely a couple. As Ali Forsyth driving as well. So, Joe Edwards, a lot of driving this afternoon. Joe Edwards indicating to Taylor Bruce, just get down outside the Chloe Stewart bowl and you'll make shot of it, and ran into the Chloe Stewart bowl on a good line to the jack she was.
Yeah, fair effort, but not quite the line. Needed to get around that Chloe Stewart bowl. So hard luck indicated from Joe Edwards to Taylor Bruce, as we see.
Sharon Sims looking very serious there.
Yeah, well, as you would be when you're 11 down in the match you're the rink coach for.
So, 22-11 at Ian 16.
Undoing some of the work that's happening on the rink alongside Kevin. When you're up by 10, you're down by 11 in this one, so you're actually losing on differential.
So here we have Kelsey Cottrell drawing into the head, going to sit inside the Taylor Bruce bowl. Well played by the Australian skip. Got a little touch on the jack as well. Very challenging head to play it now. Yeah.
And they're shaking hands in the two men's matches, so they're both done. We'll bring you the final scores a bit later, but Australia have won both comfortably. Weren't even close, unfortunately, for New Zealand. The open men.
Jo Edwards will try on her forehand to draw down to the jack, and it looks tracking out on that wide side. Has to come back a long way, but it's her only hand chance of scoring, because she certainly wouldn't be able to get to the jack. On the other hand, the way how the Kelsey Cottrell bowl is sitting out in front.
Well, any chances you'd think of that New Zealand men winning the Trans-Tasman back for the first time we're thinking about a decade, quickly evaporating, and obviously the differential's taken a massive hit, but losing both, so they've lost 3 out of the 4 today, and it'll be well down in differential.
As you watch this bowler, Kelsey Cottrell's breaking towards the head, and the wind's not affecting her bowls as she just left a small opening though here for Jo Edwards to change hands, play down through that port.
Yeah, so what it does mean is that they have to win the next 2. New Zealand men, if they had a split 3 apiece, as playing with weight as Jo Edwards, knocking away some, but not the important ones. I think Australia holding a couple. Kelsey Cottrell just working out with Chloe Stewart what exactly she should try and play. She marches back to the mat.
Very convincing. New Zealand women's triples team, Brenton. I know the game's not finished yet, but they're certainly looking confident. 16-6 after 16 ends, they're up.
29-11 by the looks of it, finished in the men's triples to Australia. So 18-shot win there. And it was at least double figures, I think, for Australia and the men's peers as well.
Australia they could default a game in this next round and still. So Kelsey Cottrell trying to sit on the Taylor Bruce bowl, just goes past. I'm sure Jo Edwards will still try and play that split shot up through the 2 counting bowls in front of the head, trying to split them out. If yours goes, Joe, you're 1 more down. Jo Edwards asking the question. If ours goes, what's the story? Or we'd be 1 more down. Well, at this stage, I think, Joe, it's well worth the gamble. If you're slightly off target and only go 1 more down, I think you just accept that. Playing with pressing weight, get up through the 2 shot bowls, swing through into the jack area. It's on a good line. Is this bowl's going to hold up long enough? No, it's not. Just goes under the head. Might do that tentative weight.
2 more for Australia then, isn't it? I assume they're going to have a little look to see if that is the case. I might actually get down and have a bit of a measure. Certainly from our angle, it looks like that Taylor Bruce bowl looks closer. Obviously from
and we were right,
it's a bit different. But it is still 2.
2 it is.
So now 24-11.
16 of 18 ends gone here in this women's pairs game. Australia, the combination of Chloe Stewart leading and Kelsey Cottrell up against the New Zealand pair of Taylor Bruce and Joe Edwards. And we've seen it pretty dominating, really, right from the start when Australia picked up a 5 on the second end, and then a 4 on the 8th, another 4 on the 9th end, and then a further 3 at least, maybe 4 on the 13th. And we've only seen New Zealand score a 1, a 3, a 2, and 3 singles on another 2. So it's just been really, it's been a dominating display by Australia. And as with the men out in front of us, the men's triples and the men's pairs, it's been a somewhat disappointing performance in this particular round for both the men and the women, barring, of course, the women's triples, who are playing their 17th end and leading 16-7 over Australia. That's the Caitlin Inch skip side.
It might actually be their last end. In fact, they might be playing the 18th by the looks of things. And yeah, and been pretty even in some of the other matches. Alex gave an update a few minutes ago, so this is slightly out of date, but at that stage it was over 60s men's triples. New Zealand trailing 12-10 after 14. Over 60s men's pairs, 12-10 down also after 13. Development men's triples, 15-11 down after 15. Development men's pairs up 11-10 after 15. So they're in for thrilling conclusions. Development women's triples, 16-10 down after 15. Development women's pairs, 16-7 up after 14. And we also have the over 60s women's triple up 18-7 over Australia, and the development, the over 60s women's pair 22-14 down. That brings you up to date.
A touch-up we just saw by Taylor Bruce, and just the ball just rolled back. Chloe Stewart may well still be holding the shot. A very good bowl by the New Zealand lead on this, the 17th end. And Chloe Stewart, the young player from Tweed Heads, more than likely, Brendan, in this Australian side, she would be obviously the least capped player. Would she not be Chloe Stewart?
I would say so. Yep, I'd say so. I think that would be fair to say. With Van Ash, Tash Scott, and obviously Lindsay Clark, all very experienced players, and Kelsey Cottrell. Yep, certainly the most inexperienced, but she's been very much a valuable member so far in the first 2 days of the Trans-Tasman series.
It's interesting, her selection for the singles then, isn't it? To say the least capped player. Normally Australia, you see either a Karen Murphy or a Kelsey Cottrell playing the singles, and they have gone for their least capped player. We know they've got the top end well catered for with Natasha Scott for sure.
I suppose she's shown she's up to it though, isn't she? She's had a draw against Joe Edwards rather, 19 apiece, and a rather narrow defeat on the first day, the first Trans-Tasman test. And they're going to be playing again this afternoon in the third and final session, which we'll have for you from around 6 p.m. New Zealand time, so make sure you join us then. You can watch that before you settle into an evening of Bowls 3-5, and then when Bowls 3-5 starts, you can be watching both.
Yes, you can.
Trans-Tasman. See the Pirates go further in the relegation mire.
Well, of course,
Alex Reid alongside me, of course.
They're missing Alex Reid. We know that. They're certainly the man who played the winning shot in last year's final.
He doesn't stop talking about it.
I know. We've heard that. It's been 12 months now.
And this trip's been tortuous. Every couple of minutes you hear about it. Alex Reid playing the winning bowl. We know we were there.
I haven't asked him, Brendan, but do you have a photo of it hanging up? No doubt there's a photo hanging up in your bedroom. Right?
He's got a gift. You know what that is, Kevin? He's got a gift of his winning moment.
No, I haven't. No. just rolls over and over. Does it?
Yeah, it's a video that loops, Alex says. It's a pretty good description of what a GIF is.
So here we have Joe Edwards down on the mat, 10-minute sign, or the 10-minute bell going, or warning.
So, yeah, New Zealand will have enough time to complete their match in this women's pairs, you would think. It's 10 minutes basically to start the final end. So, given that they're near the end of the 17th end, shouldn't be much of a problem, as we're in some ways just going through the motions here. New Zealand can't win, but differential could be so important, so they really do have to fight for every end.
Well, of course, Brett, as far as the ladies are concerned, the blackjack women, that Test series is wide open. Even going into this last round, it's still wide open.
Completely.
And 2 wins to New Zealand in the last round.
They win the Test.
They win the Test and they win the series.
Well, I don't know if we'll make it unassailable, because if Australia won all 6 of the matches in the third Trans-Tasman Test, but shake hands time it is in the women's triples. So New Zealand were up 16-7 playing the last. So another New Zealand victory, a much needed New Zealand victory in the open competition, because Australia certainly dominating that session. Are going to win 3 of the 4, the exception being the New Zealand women's triples. So congratulations to the triple of Caitlin Inch Skip, Val Smith and Selena Goddard. We're playing alongside this contest.
Well, just as this end comes to a close, Ben, I think it's going to highlight, isn't it, the importance of the Somerset Nationals pairs and singles to be held over the Christmas period, so on the 2nd of January, because I know that's an event that the selectors are very closely watching, and we've got the defending champions Val Smith and Lisa Prideaux, and our sympathies go out to the Prideaux family, because Lisa's father passed away, in fact, last night. So the defending champions Val Smith and Lisa Prideaux are there. Joe Edwards will be playing with Kirsten Edwards. Caitlin Inch is playing as well with Natasha Russell. And so all of our Taylor Bruce, I'm not quite sure who Taylor's playing with, but Mandy Boyd, so Debbie White, so all of the sort of squad, those in contention, and the same with the men, except for Shannon McElroy, who Amy is due to have a baby over the Christmas period, their second child, will all be there. So it's going to be a great opportunity for the selectors to really, just seal off what I think those last couple of spots.
Yeah, certainly. So there was a 1 picked up by New Zealand on the penultimate end, so 24-12 it is. Now playing the last, so good for the differential if New Zealand can win these last 2 ends. So they win the second to last, see if they can win the 18th and final. And Taylor Bruce has a pretty decent bowl, just past the jack, short with her other, which Chloe Stewart runs into, but then gets a nice little run off.
1 to New Zealand, and Joe Edwards saying, just draw down there on the backhand, get past the short bowl of Chloe Stewart's, and you'll give yourself a chance to score, and it would do if it had the weight to get all the way. It's going to just veer right across, just about dead, in fact, on the other side of the rink. Chloe Stewart, 1 down. She'll just endeavour to beat her own front bowl and then leave it to Kelsey Cottrell, who may well attack with her last bowl. Watch the Chloe Stewart bowl now on the monitor in front of us, and it's going to just pull up short. 1 to New Zealand.
It's shake hands time, and the other 2 matches on this green, so just this one that we're broadcasting remains. So the over 60s women's triples have won, while the over 60s women's pairs have gone down. So again, splitting their matches as they did this morning. So Trans-Tasman Test number 2 very much alive for the over 60s women.
So Joe Edwards will come down on the forehand. No, the open side, nothing to run into on that forehand side as we come to the end of what is the second round here. This Joe Edwards, Taylor Bruce combination up against Chloe Stewart and Kelsey Cottrell playing the last end, with New Zealand now holding 2 shots and trailing 24-12, 24-12. And here comes the Australian skip, Kelsey Cottrell, endeavouring to get down to the New Zealand shot bowl. It's going to pull up short.
Yeah, it's a New Zealand opportunity to possibly grab a couple here. You never know. Differential could be so important. After this defeat, Australia will be leading in the Open Women's second Trans-Tasman Test. 2.5 wins to 1.5. With 2 matches to play, of course, in the third and final session. So differential could come down to that, especially in the greater scheme of things of the overall Trans-Tasman as well, over the 3-test series.
Correct.
Because New Zealand won day 1 of the Open Women's Trans-Tasman, 4 matches to 2. They won 4 straight after dropping the first 2, in fact. It was a great afternoon for the New Zealand Open Women's team.
Kelsey Cottrell, ball just going to slip away under the head. And New Zealand indicating by Taylor Bruce. New Zealand holding 2 shots as the indication. As Joe Edwards plays what will be her last bowl on this game. I think she'll be pleased to get off the rink, actually, Brenton.
Yeah, I'll be hoping that she's not on this rink again.
So, the last bowl to be played, which will see a win to the Australian pairs combination of Chloe Stewart and Kelsey Cottrell over Joe Edwards and Taylor Bruce of New Zealand. We'll just see what happens with this last bowl and then give you the final score. We think New Zealand are holding 2 at this point in time, and I'm holding 1, and that'll be that 1 to New Zealand. 24-13 will be the final score in favour of the Australian combination of Chloe Stewart and Kelsey Cottrell.
Yeah, impressive performance. So in the Open, Blackjacks against the Jackaroos in this second session of the second Tasman Test. 3-1 to Australia and 3 comprehensive wins to Australia. A chance for the Blackjacks to make amends in the third and final session of this second Trans-Tasman Test. So make sure you do join us from around 6 o'clock New Zealand time. We'll be having men's singles. Jamie Hill of New Zealand up against Aaron Wilson of Australia here at Musgrave Hill.